This episode is brought to you by D2C Design, your growth partner for high-performance e-commerce. If you're wondering what's holding back your Shopify store, D2C Design offers a free consultative conversion block report. That's right, no strings attached. Just contact them, set up a free call, and they'll break down exactly what your site needs. Again, D2C Design. One of my favorite stories is the story of Cortez. And if you don't know it, a Spanish general comes up on the Aztec warriors in Mexico. He pulls in with a ragtag crew, and he knows that the only way to win is if they pull out the safety guards and they go straight to battle. Now, what does he do? He tells the troops to burn the boats, because when you burn the boats, there's no turning back. And the entrepreneur that I'm talking to today, man, he burned the boats, he burned the house, he did it all for a sport that he played and loved. Jared Doerfler from Hanna Golf, a guy that I met reading his honest, authentic, awesome updates on a business that he started via X. He's on the show today. Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Dan, what's going on? I appreciate having me. Love the energy today. Need it right now. So it's going to be a great little conversation.
As a business owner, you need it every day. So any way that I can help, I'm excited. Listen, this is a entrepreneur story, but as much as an entrepreneur story, it's a golf story. So I got to ask, what's your handicap?
I think right now I'm like a 1.2 or a 1.3 or something.
There you go. You grew up playing golf, right? Golf is part of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, golf's been a part of my life since I can remember. I don't remember life without golf, if that helps you out. My handicap's pretty poor right now for the play that I've, the high level play that I've used to engage in on a regular basis. But, if we're playing twice a month, it's not bad. So I don't practice. I wish I could practice. At some point, I really want to get back into the competitive side of it and just play some amateur events and see where it takes us.
Yeah, well, listen, you're grinding. You got a lot of exciting things on your plate, so let's jump into it. So you had a great corporate job. You're a well-educated guy. What made you, like I said, burn the boats, risk it all, and start a putter company?
I mean, it sounds like an easy answer, but once you really kind of understand it, it's an easy answer, and we have one life to live, and that's basically it. It's like I've had a few moments in my life that I think were pretty important, and they've kind of shaped how I viewed the world and how I see the world. And life is so short, and I've had this entrepreneurial itch for about a decade, and not getting any younger. Kids are only going to get older, and it's never going to be easier to do something. And so at that point, it was the easiest time of my life to do it, albeit still pretty hard.
So why putters? What's the reason for this, and what drove you to this business?
I guess there's a couple main reasons there. In college, I played golf at University of Northern Iowa, a pretty low level Division I school, and when I got there, the coaching staff had me on our putting software, and I was using a blade putter like a lot of people were. This is 2008. So, Tiger really made that blade putter really popular, and I hit like 2 strokes, and coach was like, we don't need this putter. And he went to his office and grabbed a prototype mallet that he got playing in the PGA Championship like in the 90s. And so I played with this thing in college. I didn't really love how it felt, didn't really love how it sounded, but I made a lot of putts with that, and it improved my putting because it was a mallet, had the original Super Stroke grip on there. So when I graduated, I gave it back to him since, it wasn't mine. And, about every year, once or twice a year, I'd go on eBay and try to find that putter, that same putter. And I could never find it. So about 10 years later, I live in Iowa, and the winters in Iowa are dark and cold, and the days are long. And I was bored one night, so I sketched out what I thought this putter looked like. And then I had my brother-in-law, he made it in CAD, and had a buddy in Texas make it at a machine shop. And it was awesome. Like, the putter was terrible. I mean, it was horrendous. But I loved the process of actually creating something. And, I've loved golf. And so that's part of the story. The second part of the story is about 4 years ago, I started a golf newsletter called Perfect Putt, finishing an MBA course in instructor told us, how important it is to write online. And I didn't really believe him, but now I'm fully invested in why it's important to write online for many reasons. But I started this newsletter, Perfect Putt, covers the business side of golf. And I grew a small audience with that. And so I just was able to meet a lot of people out throughout the golf space. And I'm like, I want to get in this rather than write about it. And so now I go back, okay, what's important to me? One, I have to make it myself. I have to manufacture it. And so you go down these lists in the golf space of what you can make, and you really can't make a lot of stuff, but you can make golf putters. And so then I kind of revisited that project I had a few years prior, and I was like, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be golf putters.
You are a very good writer. You wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your writing skills, because you and I connected on X. And one of the things I loved was your journey and how authentic it was, right? Most people will give you only the highlights and the great stuff. You're pretty authentic and walk you behind the scenes of like, hey, I'm having a rough time. And you're also extending that on IG. You're a really good storyteller. You take people behind the scenes of what it's like to not only, run a golf related business, but just business in general.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I mean, it's honestly the hardest thing I've ever done in life. I think we need to put hard in some context. I think, people have different hearts. I should say it's the hardest thing that I've done in my professional life, not close. It's one thing to start a business. That itself, I don't care what kind of business it is. It has, tons of challenges, but to start a business and then not know basically how to make or how to run machines to make that product. Like I didn't know how to run CNC mills, and I bought one, and then I taught myself everything. That on top of it, I think, adds some complexity to it. And quite frankly, I was pretty naive, and naive can, I think, be good and it can be bad. And I think in this time it was good, because if I knew how hard it was, there's no way I would have tried this.
It's great. All right. So walk me back to the moment that you decided to huddle up with your family, go, we're cashing in our chips, and I'm going to build putters. What was that conversation like, A? And then B, if you don't mind, just kind of, capital that you needed to get going and working capital. And what did that look like?
Yeah. I mean, at the time when I quit, I had 2 young kids, and now I have 3, but, my wife has been a huge supporter of mine, and, there's no way that I could have done this without her. So she was pushing me to kind of get this going, probably a little quicker than I'd like, for the reasons that I kind of said earlier. Like, we're not getting any younger, and she's been a huge supporter of me. As far as capital, to get this going, I mean, I've got about $125,000 invested in this business to get started, and truly did empty everything out, and it's been a grind. It's been a 2-year battle and a 2-year grind.
Now you rent the warehouse, you get this equipment. How did you walk me through, you go and you buy this equipment, you don't know how to operate it. Like what were those steps like? How did you learn how to do this stuff?
So the first mill I bought, I put in my garage in my house, which was a great idea. I thought it was bad at the time, but it worked out really well. And, YouTube, I mean, I learned everything off YouTube. Where I'm at, unfortunately, there's not a lot of machine shops. And so there's a couple old school machinists around that I've had in the shop a couple of times to help me with some things. But honestly, everything's trial and error. I'm having this problem. You go to Google, you go to YouTube, you try to learn something, you try to enter your problem, and there's 50 different solutions, and you just keep going down the list until you think you've corrected it. And I mean, it took me months and months to figure this thing out. There's really 3 components, Dan, to operating a machine shop or, making putters. We have CAD, which is our 3D model. And then we have CAM, which creates our tool paths and our G code into the machines. And then there's operating and running the CNC mills. And so, those 3 things, I didn't really even know that those 3 things existed until, I dove headfirst into this thing in my house, and, would spend far too many late nights out in the garage figuring this out. I'd get close to learning something, and then I would, be addicted. And then it'd be 1 a.m. and I was like, I finally got it. And those are the great celebrations, because they came fast. The failure was also very fast as well. Failed, far more than I succeeded in the first 6 to 8 months. And I think that was good, because that means I was trying things and learning.
It is amazing. So you've been at this 2 years. Like, what are sales like, and do you sell just direct, or do you sell through stores? Like, what are your channels?
So channels are direct to consumer online, and then
Yep.
we're in golf courses as well. Another channel is we've been doing quite a bit of custom work. People that
Okay.
want to buy 12 putters for their business or 24 putters, and we'll do some custom
Yep.
work there as well. We started this thing May of 2024. So 2024, we did a little over 100,000 in sales, and I'm hoping this year. I think we're projected to be around 225,000 or so in sales, and not bad for two guys in a contractor garage in middle cornfields in Iowa.
Dude, I love it. All right. I love the names. Talk to me about the names. Let me run through them.
Mm-hmm.
Denver, El Reno, Amarillo, named after cities very far from Iowa. How did you come up with the names?
Oh man. My granddad was born in 1926, and that generation, just a different generation.
Totally.
Way different. So much respect for that generation in so many ways. And the stuff that he went through in his life to get to where he finished his life was truly, inspiring in a lot of different ways. I mean, here's a guy that doesn't even finish high school, but goes into World War II, in Battle of the Bulge, one of the bloodiest battles on our side. I mean, here's a guy that grew up, dirt poor in Amarillo, Texas, 8 siblings in a 3-bedroom house, just survived the Dust Bowl, survived the Great Depression, survived, quarantine with a fever for 3 months, got struck by lightning when he was 12. I mean, there's all these things. He's roofing a house when he's 12 because his family didn't. I mean, that's what you did back then. I mean, he was 12. He's helping his dad, put food on the table, literally. And so they're named after cities my grandfather lived in. So he was born in El Reno, Oklahoma, and they moved to Amarillo, Texas. And then, after the war, after he came home from the war, he had nothing. He had no desire to go back to Texas. Just to have a lot of great memories. I mean, and I can't really blame him. So he went to University of Denver on the GI Bill, and then went out to Salt Lake City after that. And we've got a Salt Lake putter as well. And then he actually ended up in Des Moines, Iowa. So super influential and really, turning my family tree around. He grew up so poor, worked his tail off. He was a sales guy, was able to provide for his 2 kids better than he had it. And then in turn, my father was able to do the same thing for me and my sisters. And so, I think, leave it better than you found it. And, if it wasn't for him, this thing would never have started. Also thoroughly enjoyed playing golf with him. It's a big part of my life. And, playing with him, whether it was, they lived a couple hours away from us growing up. So whether it was playing at his course in Des Moines or playing in Florida in the winter when we go see him. So huge amount of respect to him and that generation, and really an ode to him.
The greatest generation. Very cool story. And he would be very proud of you right now. What you're working on and building. He'd actually probably be jazzed up about it. It's all golf.
100%. He would have probably bought 20 putters himself and just sold them to all of his buddies at, a huge markup, and, he would have done the deal on them. And he was my greatest supporter as well. One of my greatest supporters.
The influence of social media on your business. So as I mentioned, you and I literally met on X. I read your story and I was like, these are my people. I got to talk to this guy. And you got back to me right away and we set this up. But like I said, your story is interesting than other entrepreneurs because you're an open book pretty much on X and I think on LinkedIn as well. Is that a strategy? Is that you just, I need to journal this? Like what brought you to that?
I mean, I think it really goes back to what I've learned the last 4 years of writing online and trying to build an audience. And, for us, we're not spending any money on marketing. We haven't spent $1 on marketing for we can't really afford it. And also we have got this audience that, we need to tap into. And, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it's a little bit of therapy. I think it's a little bit of storytelling. And, if we're going to build a business, let's build it in public. And, people can either root for me to win or root for me to fail. I don't really care either way. And then we can see the wins and losses. And there's far more losses, I think, than there are wins. But, just stacking those small wins and just keep the momentum going forward.
I'm in your corner, brother. Built by an underdog or the underdog. I love that tagline. Where'd you come up with it?
I've been an underdog my whole life. So, I mean, I had to walk on at UNI. I mean, I didn't have really, I'm not even sure it was a walk-on spot. Who knows if it was NCAA legal. I was allowed to practice with the team, and I was allowed to qualify. I didn't have any gear, didn't have a bag, and I played really good when I got there. And I was able to qualify the second tournament of that season, and I never looked
Yeah.
back, and played my whole career in the top 5. And I mean, I just people kept counting me out for a lot of different things. I mean, I went to a small school. I'm from a blue collar city. Was able to, I think, have a pretty good career in medical sales. And then after that, and, I'm really bred on work ethic, perseverance and grit. I mean, I can get knocked down and it's going to bother me, but I'll get back up. And so, entering this golf space, which is super established, and there's a lot of great companies out there.
Yeah.
We're an underdog coming into this thing, just bluntly. Like there's so many other companies out there that people think of when it comes to putters, and we got to try to figure out how to make our mark.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, with that attitude, you're not going to be an underdog much longer. Walk me through your work week, right? 2-man shop. I'm sure you're doing everything. Like, what does your work week look like?
Oh, it's chaos. I mean, work week. So we have a full-time employee, Tyler, who is an absolute stud. He's 20 years old, came out of a tool and die program at a local community college. I'm so blessed and lucky to have him on our team. He's an absolute rock star, and he runs our machine. So we have 2 CNC mills, and he runs the mills, which has been great for me to step back and try to focus on other things. And so what I'm primarily doing is club building, which people are like, okay, so we have, club building. How long does that take? Well, I mean, it takes far too long to club build. I mean, we're talking about, bead blasting, painting, shafting, cutting and gripping. And, that's primarily what my day is consumed with, is club building. And then there's all the other stuff that people don't consider when they're building the business. Like, okay, I have 40 things that go into making a putter. We have to have all 40 things in our shop, or else we can't make a putter, whether that's end mills, paint, I mean, Q-tips of all things, tape, the weirdest thing, Sharpies, metals. And so managing the supply chain there, trying to manage orders, trying to market this thing, which I'm not doing a great job of in the last 2 weeks. Just too busy, just trying to, I'm in CAD, I'm in CAM, so I'm the primary designer and then toolpath guide. So, I mean, it's just chaotic. It really is. We could probably use one more person, but we probably need to grow a little bit more before we get somebody else.
One of the things I love is that you manufacture in the U.S. Is that important to you?
100%. Not important to everybody, but it's important to me. You better believe it.
And I love that you were able to find a kid from a tool and die program at a JUCO. I think we need more of that. And hopefully we start developing these programs better for kids, because the reality is the 4-year degree is not as important, I think, as people make it out to be.
I mean, if I couldn't have played golf in college, I think, that is the route that you need to go. These trades and these 2-year degrees, I think, are so important, and you can build wealth so quickly as a young person.
Correct.
He's 20 years old. He's getting his full-time job, getting paid well, no debt. We're at Iowa. If you went to a trade school, it was covered. The tuition was covered by the state because they were running a program to many more trade people. And this kid is far, he's basically a 65-year-old in a 20-year-old's body. And we need more of it. It's so important to us. I mean, in so many different ways to just build our economy. And if we're going to bring manufacturing back to the States, we need people to do it. And we need people to see that they're really good jobs. And I mean, they're fun, I think, to build stuff.
They're really good jobs. And you can make a lot of money young in your career. That's the whole thing. I don't think, I was with a friend the other day, and they're in the aerospace. And he was talking to me about the same thing, trade school. And he's like, look, a kid can go, and the kid can make up to like $125,000, like at like 24 years old.
Yep.
And I'm like, why would you go, depending on what you want to study, whatever, but like, why would you go to a 4-year degree, walk out with who knows how much debt? And that's not promise. I promise at 24 years old, $125,000. Like, why wouldn't you take a look at this? Yep. It's silly. And I think we've been programmed, but that Jared, that's a separate conversation. I want to talk golf. What does this company look like in 5 years?
It's a great question I get often, and I don't have a great answer for it. And it's probably mostly a bad thing, but I think also a good thing. And I'll explain why I think it's a bad thing first. Is I'm not as strategic as I should be running this business, because I'm too much in the business every day making stuff. And so quite frankly, just trying to survive each day, survive each week. And now here's why I think it's a good thing. Running the business is a little bit like playing golf, and trying to get better at golf is, just walk through our process, make sure that, the process is good, trust the process, results will follow. And so, we're really trusting in the process on a daily basis, whatever that looks like for that day, that week and that month. And, the chips will fall where they fall. And so, our big thing here is, we want to have good attitude, good effort. We want to get after it. And we want to have a good time in here and have a little fun. If I could have a crystal ball in front of me in 5 years from now, I think we'd love to have, about a dozen mills in here spinning, probably about 10, 15 people, and, doing low 7 figures in sales. And, what I like as a sales guy by trade is, getting out and doing events, and, having a truck to get out there and do some member guest events and do some custom stuff. And I think that's really what I would love to see us, where I'd love to see us be in about 5 years.
That's awesome. Do you plan on adding other types of, driver or whatever, and any other kind of clubs to the group?
No, that's a great question. I mean, I can't make a driver, so we won't do a driver. The thing that the closest to, I think, that we could kind of quasi get away with would be wedges. But wedges are a totally different ball game that I don't know if some people fully understand. I didn't really until I started researching this about a year ago. Is shaping wedges is really an art. And so you get the blanks from a factory, and I think there's only one factory left in the United States. And, so you get them from there, you get them from Japan or China, and you shape the heads. And I started looking into it, and I thought, nah, I'm just going to stick with putters. And I really like where we're at. I think we're just scratching the surface with our putters, and, what we've got planned, hopefully in the next 6 to 12 months, the different models we'll come out with. And I really think there's a ton of room to run there.
It seems that drivers would be a crowded market, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like,
that's the club everybody wants to, pull out right when they go to driving range and show off.
It's the number one. Putters and drivers, or drivers and putters, number 1 and 2, basically most purchased club. So, but it's so competitive, and the technology that's in those, and those companies that have been doing it for years, are far ahead of people that want to get in right now from a technology standpoint.
So for somebody who doesn't golf, price point of your putter versus like traditional, walk us through, pricing for your putter.
Our putters start at $295.
Okay.
And then a typical milled putter from another company is going to be anywhere from $400 to $500.
Yep. So, okay. So, and you sell direct. Would you ever sell on Amazon? And would that be good for this business?
I wouldn't say never. It's not something that's on our radar right now. It just, for us, I think marrying e-commerce and manufacturing together is super tricky. And I would love to chat with somebody that's done it like successfully. Because there's, most e-commerce businesses, the folks aren't making their stuff. And so they can scale a lot quicker. Our main problem from a scale standpoint is we got to buy more machines to scale. And so I can't just flip a switch and say, hey, look, we need to increase our capacity by 100% next month, and call the factory and say, this is what we want to do. So it's a fine line to play. And so where we're really focused on first is manufacturing. And so when we get that right, we get more efficient there. Then we're allowed, I think, to pull some scales and pull some levers and scale a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we got to get your name out there, and hopefully this podcast works. I'll ask you 2 quick questions. Does Scotty Scheffler end up catching Tiger?
As
far as winning majors, he's on fire, dude.
It's possible. I'm not certain. Golf is so finicky.
Yeah, and injuries.
But man, is he good right now. I think we need to appreciate how good a year he's had this year. And he makes it look so effortless. And when he wins, I mean, man, does he win. He's on fire. Just seems almost easy for him, but he's so good. I mean, he had a hell of a year this year. A lot of respect for it. Tiger changed the game.
Yeah, of course.
He was so dominant, and he was such a fierce competitor internally and externally. I think Scotty's a fierce competitor internally, but he doesn't – I don't know if – you talk to a guy in the tour, they might say it's differently, but I don't know if he's going to intimidate you much externally, coming down the stretch. Tiger did like in 2000 when he could just look at you and guys would melt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was talking about it with someone the other day. I said, if Scotty Scheffler walked in without a hat on, walked into a bar in Philadelphia, would half the bar know who he is? And I would say no. Most people don't even know who he is. I mean, he got arrested at the tournament because the security guard didn't even know who he was.
Yeah. There's no chance. I think he said at a presser not too long ago that there's a Chipotle by his house that he likes to go to, but he can't go there anymore. But he said there's one like 3 miles away that he can go to, or 4 miles away. No one knows who he is.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, and Tiger can't go to any Chipotle on the planet.
No.
Without getting mobbed. So it's cool. So, Jared, where can people find out about your business and where can they buy?
HannaGolf.com. So HANNA golf.com is our website. My email is all over there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to chat with people. I'm trying to really bring back that experience. Decades ago, Dan, we had every town had a club maker in there, and these folks would go to this local club maker. They would have a relationship with them. I'm trying to bring that back, albeit the internet. And I think we've excelled at that and done a nice job there. So that's our website. Social media is, at Hanna Golf Co. That's Twitter and Instagram. So that's where people can find us.
And the name comes from your kids, right?
Yeah. At the time, I had 2 daughters, Johanna and Harriet. And so I'm not creative by any means. And so I, chopped the Joe off Johanna's name, and I can lie to Harriet later on in life, that it starts with an H. And so she's good with that. My son now, I don't know what I'll do about him. And if we have to cross that bridge in some point in life where he asks, why his name's not involved with the company, that's a good thing. It means we're still alive.
I like that explanation. So listen, guys, I know there's a lot of golfers who listen to this show. Go out, support this guy. He's built a business. I'm super excited about it. And then 2 things I'm going to become a client. So I'm going to buy a putter at the end of the show.
Yes. Dan.
And then the second thing is we're going to, so we own an agency called D2C Design. You're on Shopify. We help entrepreneurs like you work on their CRO and landing and just give consultants. So we're going to do it for free. We're going to give you a report. We're going to work with you to help boost up your presence and your presence on mobile and stuff like that. So stay tuned. I'm going to have somebody contact you to help you out, my man.
Dan, that's awesome. And I appreciate that. I get emails almost every day from agencies, and quite frankly, I'm overwhelmed by it. I don't know what to do with it. And my SEO is so bad. I don't even look at anything anymore. I see the word popping up number 1 right now when you Google milled putters. So we're doing something right. I don't know.
You're doing something right.
I have no idea anything about that. So I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
No problem. And this podcast will be heard by, everybody who listens to us, and our digital shorts do really well. And we have a big YouTube following. So hopefully it'll help you boost sales. But my man, I can't thank you enough. I love your story. I can't wait to have you back on the show in a couple of years and share all the war stories and all the successes. Cause I think with your attitude and, your passion for the business, I think you're going to be super successful, and I'm real happy for you.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate having me on and allowing us to share our story.
All right, brother. Be good. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors, D2C Design, your design firm for anything related to Shopify, e-commerce, and your website needs. Again, you can find them at d2cdesign.com. Thanks.